a goal, you. If you love goal, you. Get off your seat, get on your feet, and sing the boys who victory. Stand up for goal, you. If you love goal, you. Stand up for 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 goal, you. Stand
Hey, welcome to the Colchester United Open Day and thanks for your support. Hope you've enjoyed the day so far. It's time to get your questions ready for a question and answer session. Right now it's going to be one question per person. Just put your hand up as and when we've got Tom here with the radio mic who will be going round. So we'll try and get to as many of you as possible. So please welcome to the stage Chairman and owner of Colchester United, Robbie Cowling. First team head coach, Cowley. And from the Colchester United women's team, we've got women's team legend Niamh as well. So first of all, Danny, two great wins over the past couple of days, of course on AstroTurf as well at Haybridge and Harlow. How has pre-season been for you, Nicky, and the squad? And of course it will have been a test for everybody on AstroTurf.
Yeah, two good games. I think we've had a really good start to pre-season. So I should welcome you all to the 2026-27 season. That makes me feel so old. But it's lovely to see you all. Honestly, today is such a great day for the club. It's brilliant just to see everybody out, everybody that has Colchester United in their hearts together. It's always one of my favourite days of the year. So thank you so much for all your support and for coming. It's been great to see all the kids who are super excited because the summer holidays are just starting. So no, that's been good. And yeah, in terms of pre-season, I think it's gone really well to this point. The boys their attitude and work ethic has been really, really good. I think we've got a group that, you know, we've still got some work to do in terms of recruitment and bringing the whole squad together. But the boys that we do have, I think we've got a really good foundation of good people first and foremost. And they've been driving the standards, especially the senior boys, driving the standards every day. We've had 4 games to this point, so yeah, you alluded to the 2 that happened over the weekend. So we played Friday and Saturday, and it was, of course, good to score 9 goals and not to concede any. Also to get a lot of young players on the pitch. In our training group this year, we've had 10, 11, 12 of our young players with us, and it's, for Nicky and I, it's been brilliant to see them improve in front of our very eyes on a day-to-day basis. Before the weekend, we also we played Norwich and West Ham, which were fantastic tests. So we've had a good variety thus far. So the Norwich and the West Ham game really tested us against the ball, but actually we were really pleased with the group and how brave they were with the ball, and we drew 0-0 with Norwich. And then we drew, so we lost 3-2 to West Ham, but West Ham had a really, really strong team out, and yeah, for 60 minutes we were 2-2 in that game. We actually 1-0 up and then 2-2, So that was that. They were really good tests, and yeah, at the moment we've come through injury free, which is obviously something that you're always looking to do. It's always a fine balance because you're really trying to push the group and being demanding of the group in terms of the physical returns you get from them, and trying to develop their fitness while trying to keep them all fit and available. So that's always the challenge, and so far we've been on the right side of that. I think now we go into a run of games where the games become much more of a realistic test, if you like. We play Peterborough on Tuesday, we then play West Ham at 11 again on Friday, Charlton quite quickly after on the Tuesday, and then finish with Stevenage away. And so just some really good games, some teams that are really possession based, also some teams that play a little bit more direct, a little bit quicker. So asking all different tactical questions of the group, so that will be good. And the boys are working really, really hard.
Okay, have your question ready. We've got Tom here with the radio mic who will get to you as soon as he can. So if you've got a question for one of these four, please put up your hand and he will come to you as soon as possible.
So basically, how do you come into this season? Like, what's your goal plan for the season?
Oh, good question. Really good question. I think for us, we kind of have the ambition of trying to be better than yesterday. That's always what the group's focus is. I think sometimes you can get really caught up with outcomes, and you have to be careful of that, because it's really putting your energy and your focus on the process, because if you get the process right, then the outcome takes care of itself. But we want to keep trying to improve. I think, like I said, we've got a group of really good senior players. We've done well to add to the group with boys like Sean Raggett and Paul Digby, who are warriors and soldiers. We know that there are many fights ahead for us as a team, so to have really good characters and really good players, I think will add to the balance of what we've already got. We obviously have lost some good players. You know, we're really proud to see Kyrie Lisby go on to Reading. I think as a young player, when we signed him from Brentford, he hadn't played a game in senior football. So for him to make the progress that he has done in just 18 months is incredible, and credit to everybody that has worked with him. So we're really pleased for him. We're obviously a little bit disappointed for ourselves always, but we always want to be a club that helps our young players and then tries to optimise the moment to move them on, so that we can make the most of the asset, and that we can then try to find the next Kyrie. The good news is we've got a younger Lisby in the group, so we've got young Kai on now. He's quite a bit younger than Kyrie, so he's going to need a little bit of time and space, but he has very similar attributes. He's really athletic, really fast, and like all the Lisbys, they all know how to score. He actually got a goal yesterday, which was good. So we want to try to replace some of the athleticism and pace that we lost in Kyrie and Aurora, and we'll have to see what happens with Samson, because that one is still unfolding in front of our eyes really at the moment. And then of course, for us to try to add in the number one position, which we know is important. We're working hard to try to find the right player in that position, and then the number 9 as well. We were pleased to bring young Bradley back. Kind of feel like unfinished business for us, because we didn't have too long with Bradley, maybe just 6 months, and he obviously had such a great pre-season, our first pre-season with the club, and then he got his move to Peterborough, and it was really good business for us at the time, and it made complete sense. But we still felt that there was more growth in Bradley as a player, and he's not had such an easy time in the last couple of years. It hasn't been so straightforward for him, so we're pleased to get him back, and we're looking forward to working with him again. And like I said, there's a really good player in there with a really high ceiling and some really outstanding attributes. And you know, for Nicky and I, it's to work with him every day to try to keep him really focused, and to keep working on the mental side of the game, so that we can help him be really consistent, and that's what we're looking to do. He's a lovely boy who loves football. He can get quite emotional at times, so it's for us to try to harness that emotion, because emotion is a good thing, but you have to try to use it to help him improve and not to hinder his performance. So we're about 10 days in with Bradley now, and even in those 10 days you can feel the bounce coming back to him, and we're looking forward to what he can do this year for us, for sure.
Okay, where should we go next? Tom, where are we going? There's people over by towards the container. Yep, that's it.
Very much. Question for Robbie. Robbie, when the women are entering their 4th season now since reforming as a team, and they've had back-to-back promotions, they're sitting comfortably in the Eastern region, they brought silverware home every season. I'm well aware that they are part of the charitable arm of the club and they're having to self-fund, and they've yet to play a match here at the stadium so far. So my question to you is, what are you going to be introducing this season to help get the women more of a prominent feature in the club and to help balance the scales of equality between the men's and the women's teams?
I'm not sure I'm the very best person to ask that. I mean, I think that we do what we can for the women's team. They're at the level they're at, and they definitely would need to come on a few levels before we could even afford to host them at the stadium. We'd love to see them here, and that's what we want for them, and they've done extremely well. But as things stand at the moment, it would cost us money for them to play here, I'm afraid. So that's why we've not been able to do that. So I really think that if it's not broken, we shouldn't try to fix it. And as you say, they're getting back-to-back promotions. They're doing extremely well. Let's give all the credit for that to the foundation, because they're the people that have driven them on. I can't take any of the credit for it. So I think they're doing a brilliant job.
Okay, where are we going next? Tom, if you've got a question, put your hand up. He'll get to you as soon as he can.
Yeah, well, all the best for the season. Can't wait for things to get going again. A very simple question. Why are we training at Heybridge rather than at Tiptree?
I'll take that. Because our training ground isn't ready. So I think we've had some setbacks from the work that wasn't as good as it could have been last year on our groundsman that left. He was very focused on the ground here and maybe ignored some of what was needed doing at the training ground. We've also had an exceptional summer. I'm sure a lot of you have really enjoyed the summer, but the grass doesn't enjoy it, and we haven't had the water on it that it needs to grow. So we're behind, and rather than wreck what we have got now, we've had the ability to go elsewhere and train on that and save our pitches so that they need to serve us for the whole year. So that's the reason why.
Okay, next question, please. Over by the charging point.
Last year, I asked, how many tickets have we sold for the first match? This year, I'm asking, how many season tickets have we sold?
So we're currently at just over 2,400 season tickets. Last year, we eventually got to 2,600. We're slightly ahead of that, so I think we'll end up around 2,700. So well done all the fans for supporting us again.
Okay, where's the next question coming from? I feel like an auction spotter here. Right, Tom, towards the back.
Cheers, mate. Good afternoon all. So, just want to know with Danny, basically for ahead of the new season, and obviously we know we need a few more players in, how many do you feel we are close enough to obviously getting where you want to be? And also, as well, kindly to Robbie, with the player sales that we've had, obviously the money coming in for Kyrie, is there going to be money available to go back into the playing budget this season?
I'll answer the money coming in for Kyrie. So what we've got within the club, which Danny's aware of as well, we've got a really good process that actually dictates what money comes back in when we sell a player. It's an algorithm, as you have many times in these days, and it's based on how long that player was with us in the academy as to how much of that money we put back into the academy and how much goes to the first team. So, for example, if we bring a player in that's never touches the academy, say a 24, 25-year-old, and we was to sell him the next year, then it can all go back in, because that wasn't an academy. But where players have come in because of the academy, then so much of it goes in. So I'm not going to give up the percentages or tell you the exact numbers. I think you probably can understand why I wouldn't do that. But we've got a process within the club. We invest in the academy, but we need to make sure some money goes back into that so that we can bring the next Kyries through.
And in terms of players, yes, so definitely 1 and 9, which are obviously two very, very important positions to us. I always think the 1 and 9 kind of can win you or lose you the most points. So we've definitely got some work to do there. We will try to use the loan market again. I think we've been pretty successful in the loan market during Nicky and I, our career, and also recently at Colchester. Obviously, with the World Cup finishing just today, we are having to be patient in that area, which we anticipated. Ultimately, a lot of the players that are Premier League players are in the World Cup, so they will now go on holiday, or already on holiday, and a lot of the under 21 players will be filling their places during pre-season, during the camps and the tours that they go on. So we're having to be quite patient in that area. Also, inflation is a real thing in football. You can pretty much hit the ×3 button, because it happens. You know, it can be football inflation can be really powerful and pretty dangerous actually. So we're waiting for the market to come back to us so that we can get good value. We're really clear on what we would like. We're pleased with some of the work we've done, well, all of the work we've done thus far. But yeah, we definitely would like to improve in the 1 and 9 area. We would like to replace the athleticism and pace that we've lost. And if we can do that, then and maybe add one more midfield. We've obviously got Ben Perry that will be back, hopefully early September. So I think he'll be like a new signing for us, because we only really had him for 4 games. And we were so happy this time last year to get him. So we're looking forward to him coming back. And you know, in every problem comes an opportunity, and the opportunity has been for our young players this close season and this pre-season. So we're really hopeful that 1 or 2 of those players can find their way and force their way into the first team to add and complement what we've already got.
Right, have we got the next one lined up? Yeah, I think we have.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mitch. In relation to the latest takeover, what percentage of the details were completed, and what was the main issue of the takeover not being completed, please, Robbie?
Okay, before I talk about anything to do with selling the club, first of all I'd like to talk about when I bought the club 20 years ago. I bought it from Peter Hurd, and many of you know he passed away recently. So after 20 years of running a football club, I think I can really sit back and admire what he did for this club, and I think everyone should first of all have a lot of respect for what he did. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that first. In terms of the sale, there's really not loads and loads I can say to you. Okay, obviously I signed a non-disclosure agreement. There's a lot of things I can't say about the deal. What I can say is it got extremely close. It got to the point where I thought I'd come to my last game of the season. I thought I'd been to the last award ceremony of the season. So that's how close it got. Okay, so but it didn't happen. And at the very last fans forum, which was just before that awards ceremony, I did explain that these deals can go wrong, and we can't take anything for granted. And I'm not one to mope about, so it hasn't happened. But you know, I'm as committed as ever, maybe even a bit more now. I'm back really to wanting to make sure let's get things as well as it could and get the club in as good a condition as we can. So that's all I can say. It did get very close, but it didn't happen, and I'm not going to go into all of the exact reasons why not. What I would like to say is there's been 3 different takeovers that have been announced publicly. There was a Tim Foley one, which a year ago didn't go through. that was basically well known why that was. They just didn't have the money behind them that would have secured the future of this club. There was a lot of publicity about the Alexander Pato one, we'll call it, although I don't think Alex was actually putting any of his own money into it. Okay, that's just how it got branded. And then there's one being called the John Terry Consortium. Okay, so in all three of those cases, that story got leaked by someone else, not by the club. We kept tight-lipped on it. We really only want to say information when it's certain. We don't like the uncertainty that those things cause. Okay. What I would like to say about that one is regarding John Terry. Okay. I can only say personally, I might be wrong on this, but I don't personally think he was putting any money into it. I met John just a couple of times to talk to him. He was excellent the times I met him. Danny had quite a lot of conversations with John around what was going on. He met him more. He was extremely professional. It was none of his fault that it failed, but it just didn't go ahead. Football is currently in a more precarious position than it's been in the 20 years I've owned it. Okay, so if I give you some ideas on football finance and why selling a club is not as easy as some people think it might be. The average League 2 club now loses £2 million every year. The average League 1 club loses £6 million, and the average Championship club loses £15 million. Between 72 clubs, we're losing £500 million a year. Okay, so you can understand that it's, for me to hand it over to somebody, I've got to do it on more than just a whim, or more than just somebody that wants to do it and can put up whatever they put up at the time they buy it. It's a difficult process. I'm not sure the club is at this moment where it really wants to be for me to sell it, having looked at it now. I think I used this analogy, didn't I, about the fans wanting a moonshot, and I can provide a ladder. Okay, now there's some truth in that. There is some truth in that, but I think what I do need to do is get it a bit closer to the launch pad if I'm going to stick with that analogy. Okay, I think that there's things to get really organised on this club to make sure it's got guardrails. I really can't afford to bring in an owner, as would have happened with Tim Foley, that then didn't have the money to secure the club. So I really have to make sure that if this club is sold, there's guardrails around that's going to make sure that it's safe, that there's open days going on here with you people asking whoever the owner is questions for years to come. So that's where we are now. Where we are now at the moment is I'm in charge. I'm likely to stay in charge at least for this season. So that's the end of any speculation on that. Okay, but sadly I can't tell you too much about why it didn't go ahead. So I hope that answers quite a few questions. Maybe it raises more questions than answers.
Right, while we just line up the next question, one here for Nicky. If you can pass the mic to him, thank you. We saw you on the gantries at games looking down from a high vantage point. Does that give you a different perspective of the games, and will you be up there again this season?
Yeah, I think we just judge each game as it comes. It definitely, there was times last season when we felt it was an advantage, but to say that the final game of the season we actually played at Cheltenham, and they're not sort of accommodating for us to be on the gantry there, so the gantry is quite low and it's in the supporters end. So we were both on the dugout that day and we got a good result and a really strong finish. So I think we're very much just judge it as it comes. It does always help if one of you is higher up, because you're able to see a bigger picture, like you say, or to watch things back as well, because the analyst is next to me, so you can give more precise detail and information to the players at half time, and also with your post-match analysis as well. So yeah, there's definitely some positives, but in terms of the emotion and being closely connected to the pitch and really driving the players on, that can come from the touchline, but most importantly it comes from you guys and the support that you've given us. And yeah, just wanted to take this opportunity really to say it's great to see you all again today, and thanks so much for your support and your commitment to getting behind the boys both home and away. It's really gratefully received from us at our end. Thank you.
Right, Tom, have we lined up another fans question?
Are you two brothers?
I've never met him, no. What made you think that?
Because you look alike.
Oh, Yeah, we are brothers. Who's the older one, do you think?
That one.
Which one?
That one because he's got grey hair.
Are you talking to you, Robbie, or me? Good question.
Right, where are we going? Tom, you got the next one? Yep.
Hello, Robbie, I'm here again. Here again this season. I'm glad you're with us this season, I really am. And I want to look back on COVID, and I just can't imagine how you managed to keep the club afloat when COVID was striking us. Thank you very much. And I'm with Bobby. Bobby, come forward. I'm with Bobby Hunt, your leading goal scorer from 9th. Thank you. This is Bobby. He's very shy. And the two PE teachers, I know what it's like to teach because I was a PE teacher myself. Thank you for your clap.
Okay, thank you for your kind words. It's appreciated.
Okay, we haven't heard from the women's team yet, so I think it's about time we did. Also to note that they did win the Essex Women's Trophy last season, so give them a big hand for bringing home some silverware. Niamh, how much are you looking forward to the new season for the women's team? How much do you enjoy playing, having your role within the foundation as well, looking to grow the girls' football game and the women's game in general?
Yeah, really looking forward to the new season. Hopefully you've seen a few of the players here today. Obviously we're delighted to welcome so many new faces to the squad this season, but also retain so many of the players that have helped us be successful over our first sort of 3 or 4 seasons. And I think it was mentioned earlier that obviously we've picked up silverware in every season so far, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll continue that again this season. But like you mentioned as well, obviously another massive sort of benefit and value of the women's team is the amount of girls pathway players that have progressed through. What loads of them here today representing both the women's team but also the success of the foundation and what we've provided with the women and girls pathway. So many players have progressed through from the Girls Development Centre, from our Emerging Talent Centre, our college and football and education programme with Sigma Sixth. So yeah, there's so much value in how many players have progressed through, but also how many players from outside of our club have wanted to join this season. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
And how would you describe the women's game nationally in terms of its growth in recent years?
Yeah, it's been huge. I think looking back from when the England women's first won the Euros, which is great to say that they won it the first time, I remember looking at my emails the day after and the volume of parents emailing me asking if there was an opportunity for their young daughter to come and play football. I think it made me cry a little bit. So just the work that's happened across not just our region but nationally in the women and girls game has been huge. And obviously we see it today, there's so many girls here today with their football shirts on, getting involved with the sessions that we've had over on the pitches at the foundation, so it's brilliant to see.
Right, thank you very much. Tom is in amongst the fans. He's got another one.
Right, when it comes to keepers, obviously we've now lost Macy due to obviously loss at the end of his contract, same with Smith. Where does it stand when it comes to bringing in a new keeper going in for the season? To potentially like someone like Mason Terry from West Ham, I believe?
Yeah, we know Mason Terry. Yeah, he had a good season at Braintree on loan last year, didn't he? And I think the season before that he was at Concord Rangers, which is a club that we know and is close to our heart. So yeah, he's a boy that's at West Ham at the moment, and he's one that we're aware of. Yeah, potentially an opportunity to bring one on loan. That is something that we are looking at. I think the laws of the game have changed quite a lot in recent times, with the 8-second law now being that you have the goalkeeper after making the save has to distribute to get the ball in 8 seconds. Also now with a goal kick, you've only got 5 seconds by the time you spot it. So all of these laws mean that the game is becoming much more transitional. So we need to try to find the goalkeeper that I think can help us in that moment. And yeah, the game evolves all the time, and we obviously have to evolve with it. And we want to play the game transitioning anyway. We love the game being played fast. We want the players to think forward, to play forward, to run forward, and we know. I think there's a great stat at the moment that 86% of goals in League Two last year was scored either from a transition, so like a counter-attack, or they were scored from a set piece. So if you can be really good defensively at stopping transition and defending set pieces, and then offensively you can be really good at counter-attacking and being ruthless when you have those attacking transitions, and be really dangerous from corners and wide free kicks, then yeah, you anticipate that you'll do well in League Two. So for us to try to find players that with those we're not governed by the stats, but you know they're the facts, and for us to be aware of that, it makes sense for us to try to find a goalkeeper that helps us do that. We loved Mace. Mace had 2 brilliant seasons. I think in his first season won the Golden Gloves award. Last year conceded just a goal a game, which normally means you're going to have a pretty successful season. But we just have to try to make the best decisions moving forward for the club. And the number 1 position I think doesn't scare us as much. The number 9 position is much more of a concern, because just where the market is, there's a huge demand for number 9s and there's a very small supply. Now, I'm always the optimist, so I think, well, we've got compensation rights on Samson Tavidi, who's a brilliant number 9, so that hopefully will increase his value as a consequence. I know there's a lot of interest in him, but yeah, for us, we've got to try to be really skillful in our recruitment in that area. Like last year, we were able to find Micah Mbeek from under a big rock, really, where nobody else knew about him, but they're not so easy to find. So we have to keep looking and keep working, and just to try to be really agile. We're pleased to bring Brad in because we think that he has some good attributes, but obviously, yeah, we need to make sure that we've got good competition in that area, because it's such an important position.
Right, where are we going next? If you've got a question, please put your hand up.
Who are you aiming to sign next season?
Okay, well, Danny and I, we've been enjoying the World Cup, but we've been spending most of our time all summer watching lots and lots of matches from teams in our division. Also, we watch a lot of the National League as well. We spend time watching the National League South, the National League North, and we're often, Danny went to Ireland as well to take in some matches out there. So we're trying to, spread ourselves as far as we can to try to find players that can come and make our team better. But what we won't do is we won't compromise. So we won't bring in players that we don't think can add value to what we're trying to do, and also to fit into the way that we want to play the game. Danny touched on it there. We want to be a forward-thinking team that run off the ball and play forward and get out quickly from the back and play a brand of football that excites and entertains our supporters. So we have to be really, really careful with the types of people that we want to add to our changing room, and been really delighted with all of the players that we've brought in so far. I think we've found a nice balance of bringing in some real physicality and some warriors to complement the players that we already have. We want to now add some more penetration and some more pace, particularly in the attacking areas, and really to cement that goalkeeper that can help us in those transitional moments that Danny's already previously mentioned. I'm really excited about what the future is and what's coming next, and the players we're going to add to give us that depth that we need. I think that in a League Two campaign, with all of the league matches plus the cup competitions as well, you really do need enough depth, and we're really lucky here to have an exciting academy where our staff back at the training ground work incredibly hard with our young players, as do Danny and I, to try to give them their opportunities and experiences to take the next place in the team that could come available. And I think this weekend, having played Haybridge and Harlow and West Ham before that, we've given some really good opportunities and experiences to our young players that they'll take a lot from. And we're looking forward now to the rest of the friendly fixtures, before we kick off our campaign here against Southampton and that first league match against Accrington Stanley. So really excited about what's to come and the players that we're going to be bringing in.
Right, just while Tom finds the next question out amongst the supporters, I've got one for Danny. When we start preparing for the Southampton game, can you assure the fans that we will make sure there's nobody at the training ground dressed as a tree or a bush creeping around filming?
Well, we did say one advantage of not being at a training ground at the moment is that we wouldn't be able to be spied on by Southampton. So when I did laugh when that game was announced, I think I spoke to Robbie and it was a shoo-in for Sky Sports. So I think it's a 5:30 kickoff. Am I right in saying that?
5:30.
5:30, yes. So it's a 5:30 kickoff. But yeah, it's a crazy world, football. You think if you live it long enough, you'll never be surprised by it yet, but it can still surprise you on a daily basis. And that whole situation was pretty crazy, right? So yeah, I think. Yeah, it was no doubt Southampton. I have to say, a wonderful football club, a very good football club. And when I lived in Hampshire, not too far from my house, so I would go there regularly. So I know there's a lot of good people there, but no doubt they learned a lot from that experience, and will be better as a consequence of that learning.
And in terms of taking on a club of their stature and their league stature as well, we've got experience of pushing Brentford all the way, haven't we, a couple of times in the League Cup, so we can take something out of that?
Yes, yeah. I've always been a real advocate for the Carabao Cup to start on the Saturday before. It just makes sense to me because it's a really good way into your season. I think it will attract more support than maybe on a Tuesday night. Also, we normally play them in the first week, the Carabao Cup in the first week, and the players are then expected to play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, and that's such a, in terms of load, that's such a big week for them to go into, and the injury risk increases as a consequence while the boys are still getting to where they need to be. So it makes sense on every level. I didn't quite anticipate that we would draw Southampton, who are probably about the biggest club that you could draw in the competition. Because I don't suppose, maybe when we played Brentford in the past, it's been in between fixtures and maybe they haven't been their full starting 11, whereas I anticipate Southampton will be. But a great test for us. We always love playing against the best teams because for us it's great for our learning in terms of our organisation tactically, and we've had two good tests already against Championship teams in Norwich and West Ham. So we'll be well prepared when that game comes around. But yeah, it's a fantastic game for us as a football club, and one as always we would like to attack. We haven't been the cup draws since we've been here haven't been so kind. So we're really hopeful of a good cup run this year. We've always had good cup runs in the past, haven't we? So we're really looking forward to trying to put a good cup run together this season.
Okay, next question from the fans, please.
Hey, this is a question for Robbie. Robbie, what do you think about the increased parking in the Northern Gateway car park for match days, going up to £16.50? And do you really think the council want a football club?
Yeah, right, okay. The fact it's gone up is not my decision. I don't know why they've done that or what they're trying to do, but yeah, it's gone up quite a lot, you know, for the parking. I guess first of all they would cheapen it, undermined what we did here a little bit, but you know, that's their decisions. But in terms of the council, yeah, I think they most certainly do want a football club here. We wouldn't have this stadium if it wasn't for Colchester Borough. Borough Council it was then, and Colchester City Council now. So we've got a lot to be thankful for them for. So we wouldn't have this stadium, and the deal that we have on the stadium is good for the club. So there is more they could do. There is undoubtedly a lot more they could do if they were really keen. I don't think they fully understand the halo effect a club can have on its town, or city as we are now. And if you look at the work the foundation does, it provides about £12 million a year of social value to this city. And that's how important clubs are. So I mentioned the amount clubs lose in terms of money, okay? That's on me, the owner. But the amount of value a club gives to its town or its city is enormous. And that's not just Colchester, that's all clubs. So I don't think they fully understand what they could do if they helped us a bit more. But they do want a football club, and I guess they've got a lot of other priorities at the moment than football.
Right, our roving microphone man has sat down, but has he got a question? Yes, he has.
This question for Robbie, please. You was open just now, told us that the cumulative debt of a League Two club is about £2 million a year. Can you give us some transparency about what our debt is as a club, cumulatively, since you've owned the club, what it is on the balance sheet at the moment? And how does that face into any like takeover discussions? I.e., if you're wanting X for the club and the debt is Y, does any prospective owner have to pay X plus Y to buy the club?
I don't think I'm going to talk the actual numbers. You can look them up on Companies House if you want and see what the debt to me is. But the deal that we had on the table to sell it, I wrote off all of the debt. So it's been sold completely debt free. So I don't think I could do any more than write it all off. So, and this is when I talked about guardrails for the club in the future. I want to make sure that any owner, like I've done, the risks we take, and they can see that owning a football club is risky, whoever comes into it. The risks they take have to be on that owner, not on the club. So the club has to be protected that if somebody wants to come in and lose all their money, and I've lost quite a bit of it, that's down to them, but they can't put the club at risk. Okay, and that's why at this moment in time, I feel it's safer in my hands than other hands. So that's where we're at. I'd love to find that owner and get the good deal done, but like I said, I think there's a few things I can do to get the club in even better shape to do that. So I've been asking myself a question for the last couple of years is, are these people the right new owner? Okay, and I think there's two questions really. Are they the right owner, and is the club in exactly the right shape it needs to be in to pass on to somebody? And I think that the second one isn't completely true. And that's not because there's things terribly wrong with the club. There's a lot of things wrong in football, and I just want to make sure the guardrails are in place that any new owner comes in won't be able to make this club so it's not available. I want this club to be around for a long, long time. So I hope that answers your question. It's the best I can give you.
Right, next question please.
Robbie, another question for yourself, unfortunately. Obviously in this season ticket holders forum last season you spoke about obviously budgets, there's budget A and budget sort of whatever the takeover happens. With what you're saying now about sort of a renewed enthusiasm to get the club where it should be, does that budget A now sort of increase for the playing staff, or is it still what you considered end of last season?
No, we had budget A, which was me carrying on as owner, and budget B was the talk that the new owners, potential new owners, okay, were talking about what they were going to do, which is talk, okay. But we had a guarantee of what we got, so we're on plan A. That's where we was. That's where we're at. The budget we got is a decent budget for the league. I think 2 years ago it was in the top 10. Last year it was in the top half. This year it'll probably be around about halfway too. So that's a budget that's sensible for a club, unless we want to start taking the risks I don't want other people to make. So the club's in a reasonable position. It's going forward. It would have been nice if someone had come on and could have had a sort of wealth to have give it that moonshot, but there's a lot of risks come involved with that. You know, people can take things forward for a couple of years, but then you've got to make sure that they can keep doing that and the costs are not too high. So.
Well, let's just drop back to the women's team briefly. Niamh, what would your message be to potential sponsors out there as to why they should back the women's team and also Colchester United overall as a football club?
I think it goes without saying, obviously, anything in football is expensive these days. You know, obviously running a club like this is huge, but even just running the women's team through the foundation has so many costs associated. And to make sure that it is the best value it can be for both the players, the staff, the fans, everybody involved, any sort of sponsorship is so valuable. There is so much incredible hard work that goes on behind the scenes from all volunteers that without their help and their support, the club wouldn't be where it is, and it probably wouldn't even exist. So the sponsors that we've gained and the help and the support that they've provided is so priceless for the women's team, and and for ensuring that we can hopefully push on and continue going forwards and forwards, and hopefully again, like Robbie said, being at the level one day where we can potentially play at the stadium and it not be at a loss to the club. So yeah, another message I sort of have for fans, again along with sponsorship, another thing that's really important to drive and push the club and the women's team forward is eyes on the team and people coming down to come and support and watch. I think obviously you will know that if we're playing on a Sunday and not a single person has come to watch, that growth and reaching our ceiling is going to take a lot longer than if we get big crowds of people coming to support us. The bigger crowds that we have supporting us, the better that we perform on the pitch, and everything just sort of comes together like that. So yeah, big message would be come and watch us this season. Hopefully we'll pick up more silverware, so certainly exciting. We had our first pre-season friendly last weekend, which we beat Chelmsford Reserves 6-0, so I can assure you there'll be plenty of goals, hopefully a few more clean sheets as well. So yeah, if you find yourself at a loose end on a Sunday afternoon, get yourself down to the Garrisons, and that's where you can come and support the women's team.
And which of your teammates would you say is the dressing room joker, and what makes you give them that title? Is there one that stands out?
Great question. She's not actually here today, but I'd give it to Caris Payton, who's one of our centre backs. Yeah, she often manages to get herself as the team DJ and is always cracking the jokes in the change room. Yeah, so she's definitely the one that I'd say is a bit of a joker.
Right, back to Tom with the other fans' questions.
This is for Robbie. Last year you said we were in good foundation to sell the club. Now you're saying we're not. So what's happened in 12 months?
I've spoken to a load of potential buyers, and I've realised now that it's really easy for people in a consortium to all suddenly put their hand up and say they want to buy a football club. But there comes a point when they have to put their hands in their pockets. And so I think the game is becoming more and more precarious. Now, I'm not saying that this consortium that I was talking to, that's any reason to do why it didn't happen, but I've spoken to a lot of people, as you can imagine, over the last couple of years. And so I've just learnt more. I'm wiser now to what I think would be best for Colchester United going forward than it is now. The foundations are great. That's why we've had so many interested people in this club. And I could sell it tomorrow if I wanted to, but I'd be putting the club at risk, and I'm just not prepared to do that. And I've learnt more over the last year what that risk is. There's other major changes going on in the game of football. So some of you may not be aware, some of you may. There's a new independent financial regulator in football. So the government have now got a financial regulator that's going to regulate the game. So that itself is causing a lot of work. There's a lot of things that we're going to have to do, and they are trying to put the guardrails in that I'm talking about. So I'm pleased to work alongside that. I think that's what I'd really like to see. I'd like to make sure I hand this club over where things are really sound and financially sound for football, not just for Colchester United. So the whole business of football is very, very precarious at the moment. It's like a Ponzi scheme, okay? So I took over from Peter Hurd, who was a fairly local, successful businessman. I was able to come in a step higher than that. Now you've got consortiums of billionaires showing interest in League Two football clubs. The game can't keep going on like that. It can't keep going on where people are prepared to lose more and more money, and it'd be good for the game. So we've seen other clubs where they've suffered. I'm aware of other clubs where their own positions are not easy, and so I just want to do a good job handing it up. So I'm smarter than I was a year ago. Danny said we all want to be better than we were yesterday. I'm 365 days better than I was a year ago.
Right, we've probably got around about 15 minutes left, so if you do have a question, get your arm up and Tom will get to you as soon as possible. In the meantime, Robbie, you seem to put so much time and effort into the football club and your businesses. What do you do to relax and maybe take your mind off work?
Relax. Well, there's two things I do where I live in the moment, so to speak, because a lot of the time you're thinking about things. I like to snowboard. I know I look a bit old for a snowboarder, but I do really like snowboarding. Although, when I snowboard, I have got a helmet on with headphones in it, and I will regularly take phone calls whilst I'm snowboarding. Since I bought a golf course a couple of years ago, I've started playing a bit of golf. So I start playing golf, and when I'm out on the course, I don't really think about much else. So they're the things I do to relax, but I actually really enjoy work. I love work. I set out to make money so that I could choose to get up every day and do whatever I wanted to do. And then I found out the thing I like getting up and doing every day is going to work. So that's what I choose to do. So yeah, that's it.
And what would you say your match day routine is like when you've got a home game here, from when you get up and have breakfast? What sort of phone calls could you possibly field, and what are your responsibilities and the sort of things that you'll be doing when you arrive at the stadium on a match day?
Yeah, I mean, so a match day is a real opportunity for me because whichever team we're playing against, we do things a bit different at Colchester. In our boardroom, we mix quite a lot with the opposition directors that come, and I always see it as a real opportunity to learn more about what they do. So I see it as a major opportunity. When I'm having my breakfast and getting ready for the day, the last thing I probably want is a phone call from Danny, because that will probably mean there's a problem. There hasn't been many of them, so that's good. But yeah, I see it as a real opportunity. Sometimes I do enjoy the day tremendously until the game kicks off, because that becomes quite stressful. So as you can probably imagine, wanting to win the game of football is everything at that point. So yeah, that's my match day. Afterwards, I'll normally go down and speak to Danny and Nicky. They've got their family with them in the room downstairs, and I go in. I do enjoy listening to the after-match conversations. That's good. So.
Thank you very much. Right, back to the supporters' questions.
This is the follow-on question to Robbie. You talk about kind of the owner, and it needs to be the right owner for the club, which is absolutely fine. I completely agree with that. And I think we've all established that there's no such thing as a perfect owner in this instance. Everyone's going to have their flaws and everyone's going to have their own directions. If you want to keep control over the club and kind of mould it to the way that you want it to be, and kind of the last 20 years be a direction of where we go to the next, why don't you just seek inward investment instead of just having it all to your own self?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, I thought I was the perfect owner. I can't believe you didn't think I was, but there you go. That's a good question. It is something that I am considering at the moment. I think rather than sell all of the club to one person, I might be better off bringing somebody in, working alongside them. Again, it's about having those guardrails to make sure. I don't want the club to be doing exactly what I want it to do. I'd like someone that's come in that's going to take it in a different direction and a better direction. So when I talk about guardrails, I'm not trying to protect that they always pick the team as I do, and do everything else that I'm said to do. I want someone that's going to come in and stamp their own mark and do it exactly their own way. I've always done that. Okay, I've always run the club in the way that I think is best for the club, and I just want someone to come in and do it how they want. So I don't mind that they might want to do it differently. I think there's some real opportunities that are way beyond my capabilities that other people can do. So I'm not trying to dictate that. I'm just trying to make sure that whoever does come in keeps the club in safe hands.
Right, probably around about 10 minutes left or so don't miss out. If you've got a question, Tom will come to you with a microphone, put your arm up.
A question for Danny. You mentioned earlier that you were looking to improve the squad, improve the team's performance from last season. I was thinking, how can you do that when we've lost quite a few of our best players, namely Lisby, Arthur Reed, Matt Macy? Did you consider Shamal George, who I thought was a really good keeper for us when he was here? And a quick question for Robbie. You mentioned earlier that your average League One team loses about £6 million a year. Can Colchester afford to go up?
Yeah, we can afford to go up, and I really hope we do go up. But we won't lose 6 million if we go up, and you can probably work out that what that means is very likely to happen after we go up. It's going to be really difficult for the club, but it would be irresponsible. And I think you've seen, if you look at the clubs at the moment, so if you take Stockport, who have gone up, I think last year they lost 11 million quid. I think we was talking about that. So I'm not going to lose 11 million quid, okay? So I think Orient, their losses are probably around average for that league. Okay, and the teams that haven't made those losses have probably gone in a black hole somewhere in between and have come down, and have often then done enough damage to go down again. So you can look at Carlisle, Forest Green, Morecambe, okay, teams that have gone up and then come down and come down again. So there's usually one a season, so you've got to look at your Port Vales and your teams that have come down this year and see 1 minute could that be dangerous for them. So I'm a bit too careful to go up and lose 6 million, so I won't do that. But again, if I'm selling someone that's got these moonshot and they talk about they're going to take it to the championship, they've really got to move the club to losing probably 6 million now to get up. Maybe do that for a couple of seasons. Then when they get up, so it is a crazy world, and I do hope the independent financial regulator is going to change the game so we can start competing on doing better recruitment, doing better development, being better at other things, not just who wants to throw the most money at a team. So they're the sort of things that where I'd like to see the game go, and I'll be working on hard on trying to do that. But you can work it out for yourself. Yes, if we go up, we've either got to lose 6 million or we're going to have a relegation budget. So that's just the facts of it. I can only be straight with you.
Right, we can probably take a couple more questions. In the meantime, Robbie, are there any plans or hopes that on a match day we could perhaps open the gate to Boxted Road to try and alleviate the traffic problems? And are we keeping on encouraging the council to keep United Way as a clear way so that some congestion doesn't build up on a match day on people exiting the stadium?
So we've not only been working hard with the council, we had Pam Cox, the MP, come to several games. Really nice lady actually, really hopeful that she's going to be able to put a bit more weight into getting those things changed for us so that we can open that gate. One of the things here that's terrible, and we all know it, is that people come here, we can have a great day, but then you're stuck 45 minutes getting out, and that's just unacceptable. And it's been worse. The way the parking's been done down that road, trying to get out has become worse, not better. So for us to be able to open that gate for an hour or so after each game is a no-brainer, but at the moment we're unable to do that.
Yeah, keeping United Way as a clear way, because people have been parking down there, it causes congestion. I know that the club will be working with the council on trying to enforce that.
So one of the things I did when I was looking to sell the club is I met the leader of the council, who was David King at that time, and we met Pam Cox, and what I tried to explain to them is that the club might be sold to somebody really good that's going to take it forward and they're all going to get that halo effect, or it could be that it ends up not going to somebody not so good and you could end up with a Bury or a Sheffield Wednesday situation. And so I wanted to get them on board to be as helpful as they could, which they promised they would do, but they delivered nothing. In a nearly year's time, they actually delivered nothing. I think they wanted to. I just don't know why they can't. They don't seem able to open a gate. That would be a really simple thing to do, or sort some of the other bits and pieces out that we could do. So I mentioned earlier, we owe a lot to the council, but they are a frustrating landlord and a frustrating compliance person for whatever goes on. So let's hopefully things will improve. I won't keep going on at them. I mean, we've got a burger van that parks down here. He's been parking here for ever since we've been in the stadium, that just takes money out of the club. He's got no licence to be there. I'm sure many of you enjoy your burger from him, but he shouldn't be there. He shouldn't be there. And if we was to park a vehicle along the road, we'd get done for it. But somehow somebody's coming along and able to take the money out of the club, shouldn't be there, and the council do nothing about it for what's getting on close to 18 years now. So. Sorry, you get me on a bit of a hobby horse now, and I should have kept my mouth shut.
Right, probably time for a couple more questions. Tom, where are we going next?
Just a quick question, Robbie. Following on from what you just said, would there be any chance that the council would help you to sell this, or do you think that's a no-no? You've said in the past the council are willing to help. Would that ever be?
Yeah, I think that's what I just explained. I asked them to help as much as they could, and I'm not asking for big asks. I'm just asking to really try to improve the matchday experience. One of the things we've seen the last 3 seasons is the support here has grown quite well on match days. I think we've got to thank these 2 guys for a lot of that. Okay, so we're seeing that, but it's not a lot of fun for people when they then can't get out, and it can ruin the day. You know, even if you win, it can ruin it. So I'd like them to help to make the club better. If we make the club better, everything we do to make this club better improves our chances of getting a better owner going forward. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to work to. We just got to work together, because it's to everybody's benefit. You know, so I'm sure the local MP of Wrexham and the council benefit massively from what's happened at that club. Okay, so I'm not Ryan Reynolds, but a little bit from the council might help a little bit.
Right, if you've got a question, don't miss out because we're going to be drawing this to a close very shortly. So next supporters question, please.
Cheers, got it. Yeah, Danny didn't get a chance to answer this gentleman's question, which was about players that have left, and are we going to see a different style of play from what we did last season, considering who's left the club?
No, I was aware of that, so we did go back to the second part of that question. I think for us, our principles of how we want the game to be played will never change. I think last year we were always trying to find the right balance and the right partnerships. We obviously brought Ben Perry in, but then after 4 games, middle of August, the eruption of cruciate, he's out for the season. We had to work really hard to try to work Reedy, Bish and Payne in the same midfield because they're all brilliant players, as we all know. And Arthur had an outstanding season. We had to work really hard to try to make that dynamic work because they probably weren't a good fit for each other. I think we did that. I think we did as best as we could at that. Like Nicky's already alluded to, in a League 2 season there are many different challenges, and there would be some games away from home that maybe we didn't quite have the attributes that we needed to be successful in those games. So I think we're always looking for the balance. I think we brought Paul Digby in. Paul Digby is a very different player to Arthur Reed, but he's a very generous player, plays for the team, very good in both boxes, looks to win the ball and make the first pass. Even in the early games that we've had in pre-season, you can see that his tactical ambition is to get the ball to Jack Payne and to Teddy Bishop as quickly as you can, and it's a tactic that we don't speak about a lot in football, but if you can get the ball to your best players as quickly and as often as you can, it's a pretty good tactic. So I think that he will come in and give us a good mix. We without doubt we lose some good players, right? Kyrie, Aurora, Samson, the pace at the top end of the pitch. I think the biggest challenge for us is that none of those 3 were on big salaries. A lot of them have come through our academy, so on lower salaries. So this makes them really hard to replace. But this is the fun of it. This is what we've got to try to do. We have to be quite agile, and we have to try to. We have 2 options: try to keep developing internally the players that we have, and we're working really hard with the academy to do that. And then it's also to keep trying to find and recruit the next Kyrie Lisbys, and like Nicky's already said, we look a lot in non-league because it's the levels that we know well. We also like the Cat 1 and the top end of Cat 2 players from those levels, but sometimes they're also very pampered, not just in terms of the provisions and the support that they have, but also in terms of their salaries. I mean, some of these boys in Cat 1 academies can earn quadruple what our senior players earn in their first contract. So we've been over to Ireland, and we've had a good look in Ireland as well. So we're doing all these things to try to find the next one. And we love boys that are humble and hard-working first and foremost, and we love players that can run and most importantly want to run. And if you look at Kyrie, I think he had a lot of those qualities, and that's why we were able to. He was to come in, we were able to enjoy him, and then we quite like that. We work with them, we develop them, they improve, we enjoy them, you get to enjoy them, and then when the moment is right, and Robbie's really good at choosing the right moment to move the player on, and then he's also very good at negotiating the very best price for the club. So we have a good strategy for that. We have sold a lot of young players. Since we've been here, we've sold a lot of young players, and yeah, it gets tougher and tougher. There's no hiding place from that. But we're going to work really hard to try to replace. We feel like you think Samson, Kyrie's, Aurora, Micah as well. I think is almost irreplaceable. I know we only need for a small payout, but what he did for us in that small amount was incredible. So they're big challenges. But I'm also very excited for. I look at Kyrie's and the money that he went for, but I know Samson. There's a really good asset there. I think that could help us going forward. And yeah, we're gonna like Nicky said, we won't compromise. If you compromise the process, you'll compromise the outcome. So we would all like, in our ideal world, July the 1st, we'd like to be back and working with our squad. For Nicky and I, we have a burning ambition to wake up every morning and help the players get better, and there's nothing more exciting than being on the training pitch with your whole group and developing and improving. But what you have to do, you have to make a decision, right, these are the players that are available for us in June. Now, with a pre-season, can we get them to the level that we want to get them to? And if we can, then we take them. If we can't, then we wait. And that's what we have to do. And there is some risk in that for sure. But we have this strategy, and I think I got asked a really good question at the beginning about what's our ambition moving forward, and it is about the process. And our process is, in the circumstances that we're in, can we do the very, very best with what we've got? And that's what we're going to try to do. And we will need your support, because I don't think it will always be, it will be easy. You've seen in the last 2 years, we've started slowly, both seasons, first 10 games, we've only really been a point a game. That's been a real frustration for us. So yeah, we're gonna need your support for sure. I mean, I look at where we were when we come into where we are now, and the connection. You've only got like field days like this, and it was great. I listened to Tom, and it's just so lovely days like this just to see the generation of Colchester United supporters and how kind of football support gets handed down. You don't get a choice. You just support the club that your family supports, and this is a great tradition that we have. But that makes us really powerful as a football club, because we are connected and we are united. And a football game, let me tell you, is never won by 11 players. It's always everybody plays a part. And that's why I love lower league football, because in the Premier League now it can be a bit I don't know, prawn sandwiches and hospitality boxes, and yeah, this is one way to watch football. But I like it when, you know, I don't know, the supporters at Premier League level almost become the spectators, and they just, I don't know, they come and they're just expected to be entertained, whereas you guys know that sometimes League 2 football is not always so much like this. Sometimes it's not always so aesthetic and pleasing on the eye, and sometimes you just got to get behind the boys, and even when you're not doing very well, you've got to support them even more. And I think you guys understand that, and I think that in itself is really powerful. And we, yeah, for sure, are going to need you this year. We're going to need you right behind us and right with us. And I think you will do that, and we will work as hard as we can. I think you appreciate and know that. And together, if we're all aligned and we all have the club's very best interests at heart, then I don't suppose anyone's expecting us to be right at the top of this division next year. But in mine and Nicky's lives, we've seen that incredible things can happen, things that nobody expect can happen if you have a group of like-minded people all really together fighting for the same cause, and I believe that's what we have here.
Right, we'll take one more question from the fans.
Can I just add something? Just wanted to add a couple of things really. First of all, we do a very nice prawn sandwich, yeah? So I just wanted to mention that. The other aspect of the players that we sell, the Kai Reeses, the Osama Ashleys, the Kane Vincent Youngs, the Jaden Fevriers, is that every time a player comes to this club and we move them on higher up the league, it's seen, we've got a reputation as a club where we're a pathway for people, so it becomes a way of attracting players to us. It's actually something we need to do. If people think they're going to come at this club and go stale, they're not going to come to the club. We've got a really good reputation amongst young players that have been released from Cat 1 academies, that they can come to Colchester and they can resurrect their career, they can move on. That's good for us, it's good for them, and it's great for our reputation. So I just wanted to mention that. I did want to make a plug for something if I could while I'm here. So it may have already been released on the Apple Store, but my staff in my IT department, we've developed a new app for the iPhone and for the Google phone, for Android. So the Android one's available already on the Google Play thing, but we went for the iPhone one to be a thing. I'd like to encourage you all to download it. It's a much superior app than we had before. You can get into it with your single sign-on, the same sign-on you used to buy tickets. You've got to be able to use it for your tickets. You can read your program on there. But more than anything, because it's something we developed ourselves, your feedback, we can actually make it even better. So it's something we are in control of. We've had no control over the one we had previously. So I just wanted to give it a plug. Try download it as much as you can, use it as much as you can. You do need to log in. You can use the same login as I say for your ticket account, and I'd be really interested to hear your feedback.
Right, what we do is take one more supporter question, then we'll go along each of the four of them and get their hopes for the season ahead, and then that will draw it to a close because we are closing in on 4 p.m. So one final question from the supporters, please.
Yeah, you mentioned about the car park and everything else and going up in the thingy. It's very successful many years ago when the buses were here. I never used the buses, only once or twice, but I know that you brought an awful lot of people into the club for a very small amount of money. Could that be resurrected?
Yeah, no, so just to explain that, it wasn't for very little money. It was very expensive to the club bringing the people in. So it was part of an agreement for the first 5 years that we had to lay on the buses to get the fans in. There was no houses, there was nothing like there is now. We was out on a limb, and it was part of the agreement to bring them in. So the club paid for the buses, and the way that it was done to make it for ease of use is the fans would pay, I think it was only £1 or £2 to get on the bus to come in, and it was then free to jump on it when they went home. Now as fans, what your habits normally are is this: you'll go down the pub to start with, you all jump in a taxi, and you'll pay the taxi to come here, and then you jump in the bus and go home for nothing. Okay, so we collected very, very little money, and it was just a drain on the club. So I could put the buses on, but then I've got to explain to Danny why he's got a lower playing budget, because we're doing that. So sadly, I know people often mention the buses, but there is zero chance that we would bring the buses back. If somebody, a supporters association, if you wanted to organise it all amongst yourselves and keep whatever profit was made from it, that would be happy days, but the club can't afford to bring the fans in like that, so I'm sorry, that it just wouldn't work for us.
Right, if we work along all four of you, starting with Niamh, and then it will culminate in final thoughts, Robbie. So basically, hopes for the season ahead?
Hopefully another piece of silverware, whether that's in the League Cup potentially. Obviously we did really well in the county trophy this season, winning 2-1 in the final over at Haybridge Swifts. So hopefully 4 in 4 with silverware. And then in terms of the league, top 3 finish ideally, but realistically I think we're going to try and push for top of the table.
And for us, just to keep growing our wonderful connection that we've created, we've really felt that, Danny and myself, since we've arrived into here. You know, Robbie said earlier that we're going to get close to maybe 3,000 season tickets being sold. It's just incredible. And we had a wonderful game here at the back end of last season that no doubt many of you remember, against Swindon, where the stadium was absolutely electric. We played some really good football on that night, and that was a game that we really enjoyed. And rather than focusing maybe or dwelling on what could have happened or what could have been with the talk of the takeover previously, I'd much rather focus on what's going to happen and what's coming next, and stand really united and positive and together, and giving it everything that we've got. Yeah, ditto really, just to keep working every day, to keep helping the players get better. I think for us, that's always a burning ambition for us, and I always think if you keep focusing on the individual and you can improve every single player by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%, then that can have a huge impact on the whole team. So to try to do that, in the immediate future, we need to keep working really hard on recruitment and try to be really skillful in putting the best group together that we can, so then we can then maximise that group. And like I said, if we can do that, then yeah, my fear is that we can have some more fun going into 2026-27.
I think for me it's similar to Danny. I love to see when people just progress and do really well. So we've got a lot of different people at the club with a lot of different ambitions, and I just like to see as many of them achieve what they'd want from their ambitions. I think what I'd also like to see is perhaps I can get a bit closer to being that perfect owner. You never know. Maybe I could edge a little bit closer. Okay, but that's it.
Right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for attending the Colchester United Open Day 2026. Please show your appreciation for the Colchester women's team legend, Niamh Gamble, the first team management duo of Nicky Cowley and Danny Cowley, and chairman and owner of Colchester United, Robbie Cowling.